could have a huge impact for local schools. Thanks for joining us for 13 News Live at 6. I'm Dan Maries.
And I'm Brooke Wagner. Many school districts are asking voters for more money on November 7th. Two propositions in particular are getting a lot of attention, especially on the south side.
13 News reporter Sean Mahoney joins us now live outside the Sunnyside School District with more on both measures and the history of failure behind them.
And Sean, Sunnyside hasn't much success passing these budget propositions yet.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Brooke and Dan. The Sunnyside School District has two propositions on this year's ballot looking to increase funding by extending the budget the budget's overdrive. So this essentially means that they'll get more funding from taxpayers, of $15 million from taxpayers overall. It is in total more. Now, the thing is, like you said, they haven't had much success with this. Over the past 7 years, this has been on the ballot 6 times and has failed to pass each time. Some say it's a lack of trust with the school district. Some say it's a lack of information about where this money is going. But district officials tell me that a lack of funding this time around could be critical for the district's future. Ballots are officially open, which means many school districts like Sunnyside are looking for support.
We want to make sure that we upkeep our budget the way it was and be able to sustain it, the positions and programs that we currently have in place.
The school district has two propositions on this year's ballot looking to increase the budget override: an 8% increase in maintenance and operations costs and an unrestricted increase in capital services, totaling in about $15 million, funding salaries.
Now we're finding ourselves in shortages, especially bus drivers and other support staff.
Improving facilities.
The average age of our school buildings is 34.5 years.
And keeping competitive in southern Arizona.
We want to make sure that we keep up with technology so that we can support our students' academic growth.
But if this sounds familiar, that's because it is.
For 7 years. After that, the district tried 6 times to pass an override, which means the need was there throughout the entire time, and they all failed. I believe the last election failed by 250 some votes.
The district last passed a budget override in 2007, which lasted until 2014. But since then, they have been unsuccessful getting another one passed. So what's the holdup?
A lot of times it's the community doesn't trust the school district. It could be something like that, or they just want to make sure that the district is appropriately spending its dollars.
The asking price for this year's proposition is an increase of $21 a month for taxpayers. Another reason for the possible hesitance, but the districts say they are addressing that.
We really sharpen our pencils and make sure that we're only asking for what we need and nothing more.
And Walter says the need is critical.
We don't want to put people out of jobs, but unfortunately it's a thing that we have to do if the override were not, able to pass.
The district's ESSER funds runs out next fall. COVID funding kept them afloat for the past few years, and now it's a decision for voters to decide what funding they get next.
It's a blessing in disguise now that they're going away. Now we have this problem, that we want to make sure that we upkeep our budget the way it was and be able to sustain it.
Now, Walter tells me that if the override does not pass, then the district could lose up to 130 employees whose salaries were funded over those ESSER funds. Now, there's a lot of almost 10 other propositions on the ballot this year regarding override extensions like we talked about, or bonds for certain school districts, which is same thing as override, except it's just more specific to a task of where that money will go to. You can have all the information, or learn all the information rather, on all these propositions and get yourself ready for Election Day. Go ahead over on our website at KOLD.com. Reporting outside the Sunnyside School District headquarters, Sean Mahoney, 13 News.
Thank you, Sean. There's a new round